Previously on Gears.
Our motorsport update, and we are getting hold of Shaun Smith again. He's the South African racing champion. We spoke to him the last time I did the show. He really knows what's going on.
Hello.
Hi, Shaun. It's Daisy on
Daisy.
Gears.
How are you?
Good, and you?
Very good, thanks.
Okay, we're phoning you. Mark's in the studio with me.
How's it, Shaun? How are you doing?
Great. All right, and you, B?
Nasty, yes. Lovely to hear from you.
We're phoning you for our motorsport update. Can you tell us what's happening in the world of F1 and motorsport?
Yeah, well, I can help you with F1. That's pretty much anything that I follow, but it's to me it's the most important. It's the biggest motorsport in the world. Yeah, some latest news that's quite interesting is that there's always talk about Robert Kubica. Everyone's sort of following what his progress is because of that tragic accident he had in the rally car a couple of years ago. And he's been recovering. He won his first rally the other day. He's been doing exceptionally well, but he still has very limited mobility in his right hand. And I see that he's now saying that basically the only thing stopping him from an F1 return is the space in the cockpit, which I thought was quite interesting. I didn't know that. So he's working in the simulator though, and he still harbors a hope of driving F1 again. But and he says he's making progress, and as long as he's making progress, that gives him the motivation to carry on. But he's really enjoying his rallying. Of course, it's sad for us F1 fans to not see him.
Yeah, he's such a talent.
Yeah, he is. To go from Formula One car and go into rallying and do so well, you can just see just how good he is. But in any event, he is doing. I think with Mercedes, he's doing some work in the simulator. So let's hope that in a year or two, but we would see him again. But it really does look ever more doubtful. And then in other news, I think everyone has heard by now that Sebastian Vettel has re-signed.
Yes.
With Red Bull, which I'm sure they're very relieved about, because there were all these rumors about him having signed a pre-contract with Ferrari.
Oh, wow.
So yes, that was big rumors doing the rounds, but that's sort of been happening the last year or two, because of course he's sort of the hottest property in Formula One, or very close to.
Yeah.
So there are always these rumors, and I'm sure Red Bull are very, very happy to secure his services. He's the three-time world champion, and he's leading the championship again now. Supremely talented driver, and of course, with Adrian Newey on his side, I think that's probably the biggest motivation for Vettel to stay with Red Bull instead of going to a team like Ferrari, because if you've got Adrian Newey on your side, that's a huge advantage. I don't think there's much disputing that he's the most talented designer, stroke aerodynamicist in Formula One.
Without a doubt, Shaun.
So, yeah, I know you always see his name there behind these championship-winning cars,
Yeah.
So
And also, if you've had so much success with a particular brand or company, it's, I suppose, also very difficult to move away from that. If whatever it may be, if you're having success, you stick with something.
Yeah, absolutely. And in motorsport, the car is so important that Vettel knows, and he's still young. So winning means more to him than money at this stage. I guarantee you, Ferrari would have paid him a lot more money. But
yeah,
Red Bull obviously pay him enough. Still ridiculous sums of money. For the average man to consider, but no doubt he could have earned more. But as you say, he wants to carry on winning, and he knows that Red Bull is the best place for him to do that.
Is there any news on Mark Webber?
Well, it's good that you've raised him now, because I was just about to forget to just comment on him, because this signing is not really good news for him. Everyone knows that their relationship sort of fell apart a little bit in Malaysia. So, effectively, this would mean that he would almost definitely be moving on.
And where do you think?
Do
you think he'll move to another team, or will it be the end of his career? What do you think his movements will be?
It's interesting because he is getting a little bit older, but he's still one of the top performers in Formula One. So I don't
I think we've lost
I think
Shaun.
we've lost Shaun.
Hello?
Hi, Shawnee. Sorry, I don't know what happened there.
Yeah, I could hear you guys talking in the background, but you couldn't hear me. But anyway, we were talking about Mark Webber, I think, and what his options were.
Yes.
Well, I mean, my bet, we're all assuming he's going to leave Red Bull. My bet would be that there may be an opening at Lotus, either because Kimi Räikkönen there could be a straight swap actually between Kimi and Mark Webber, but I think that Lotus is going to grow weary of Grosjean and his sort of excuses and accidents and that type of thing, and I think he would be a good fit there. I think that would be Webber's first choice because everybody knows that it's a great car. But there's also other options. I mean, McLaren, Perez has not been what they hoped he would be this year. You know, they're still saying all the right things, and yes, he's developing and this and that, and you know, we support him and blah blah blah. But you know, he certainly hasn't set the world alight. There's no denying that. So yeah, I think Webber there are potentially openings. He's still performing. It depends how the next several races go. If he keeps performing at a very high level, and I think he is. He's only just behind Vettel.
Yeah, he is.
Which would imply that he's certainly faster than almost everybody on the grid. If I was a team owner, I would certainly be looking at him.
100%. Shaun, I want to ask you just a quick question. Last Grand Prix, Canadian Grand Prix, I found unbelievable track. So exciting. 2 DRS zones where you saw a lot of movement between cars, guys overtaking. Very exciting track. Going towards British Grand Prix, are we going to see a similar type of? In fact, have you raced at Silverstone before?
Yeah, I've raced at Silverstone.
Oh, fantastic! That's awesome.
It's an amazing circuit. When I raced in British touring cars in 2004, it was we raced on the short circuit. There's a couple of variations there, and of course, Silverstone has changed now, but it's still incredibly exciting circuit. And the important components, you know, the first corner is quite amazing. You know, we in the touring car, you put the brakes on there, and in the Formula One car, they're just about flat out, and they're going 100 km an hour faster. It boggles the mind how these cars can do that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the next set of curves, Beckett's and Maggots, and these are corners with names that are sort of in folklore almost. You know, it's just incredibly legendary circuit. So I always look forward to Silverstone, and I think it will be a good race. But yeah, just to touch on a couple of other guys there, Paul Di Resta had a fantastic race on the weekend as well. He came right up from 17th to 7th place.
Yeah,
and he got his tyres the last 56 laps, which is
I was laughing.
incredible.
I was giggling. I was saying, is this guy ever going to go in and actually get his tyres changed?
Really amazing, because we're used to the scenario where they're battling to make the tyres last 10 laps, so it's very difficult to figure out what's going on. But you know, there's no doubt that Pirelli is playing with the compounds and the structures and that type of thing to try and get away from the situation that we had at Monaco, and I think the race before, when there's sort of 4 stops and that type of thing. Nobody really wants that.
No.
I mean, even Mercedes, you know, their tyres seem to last better, but we'll get to a possible reason for that now. But just also Jean-Eric Verne up to 6th in the Toro Rosso, which was fantastic performance, and it's actually their best result since Sebastian Vettel was driving for the team, which he wasted no time in reminding everyone of. Because, you know, him and Daniel Ricciardo have really been in a tussle. Basically, they want promotion to the Red Bull team. And everyone's assuming that, as we were talking about earlier, that Webber's seat will be available. So they are, you know, you could say they're first in line because they're in the junior team. And Ricciardo has had the upper hand so far this year. So I think this is a huge shot in the arm for Jean-Eric Verne. And it's going to be interesting to watch that battle develop, you know, the rest of the season.
What about Kimi Räikkönen?
You know, well, Raikkonen had a terrible weekend. You know, he just was off the pace in wet, dry. You know, he suddenly had a very a couple of very quiet Grand Prix. He slipped to third in the championship. Alonso's gone past him. And, from the outside, it's looking like it's going to be the Alonso, Vettel, Hamilton, Rosberg show the rest of the year. And probably just Alonso, Vettel for the championship. Where, a couple of races ago, everybody was talking up Kimi's chances.
Yeah, you're right.
So it just shows you how quickly things can change. But, they're obviously hoping to come back. It will be interesting. They've had two very poor races. As I say, Alonso has now got up in a second in the championship ahead of Kimi, even though he's still quite a long way off Vettel. But yeah, Kimi definitely not a very happy bunny at the moment, and he made some fairly outrageous statements after Monaco about Perez and how someone should punch him in the face and that type of thing.
That's terrible.
It's ridiculous.
Vintage Kimi, he just doesn't care what he says.
Yeah. Shaun,
Yeah, so
I wanted to ask you, Lewis. I'm a big fan of Lewis Hamilton's. I like the way
Me
he
too.
drives.
Yes,
He's very
yes.
aggressive, but he was also the last kind of 10 to 5 laps. He was really off the pace. I mean, Alonso was really behind him, applying pressure, and he took him in the end quite comfortably. And Hamilton went in and did a tyre change with about, I can't actually remember, there was about 10 laps to go or so, or 12 laps to go. And I think with 4 laps to go, Alonso overtook him. But he just also looked slightly off the pace. Is it just the car that's not performing quite as well as maybe the Ferrari and the Red Bulls? Or is he just not on his game as he should be?
But
Yeah, I
he
was just about
qualifies
to-
so well
to get
also.
to him. Yeah, no, look, Lewis is openly saying that he is not 100% comfortable with the car, particularly with the brakes. So he's struggling to really brake on the limit. But, I mean, I think for him that actually augurs quite well because the guy's doing incredible things in qualifying, and he's saying that he's not 100%. So imagine when he is 100%. As far as him sort of being a little bit off the pace, I think it is a car-related issue. Remember that this has been by far their best performance in terms of making the tyres last. I mean, he was slower than Alonso at the end, but it wasn't dramatically slower like it has been at a couple of races. And he was really focused, and I mean, I don't know if you heard that little radio chirp to his engineer, "Please just let me drive."
Yes, I did. I actually quite enjoyed that.
a la Kimi Räikkönen. And he's made comments afterwards that Alonso chased him down like a bull, and he just couldn't. He couldn't withstand the pace there. So yes, I agree with you. Obviously, they were off the pace at the end, but it's more a factor of the tyre usage of the Mercedes than the Ferrari. The Ferrari is very good in terms of race pace, if not the best. So that's the reason for that. And Alonso, I think he was happy with second. And I think they knew they couldn't win the race once they only qualified sixth.
Yeah.
And they know they have to focus on qualifying. It shows you that the balance. Mercedes has got more qualifying pace than they really need. But they're paying a price for it in race pace, and Ferrari's got it the other way around. So, it's about the engineers and the drivers working out how to make their package a championship-winning one.
Finding that balance.
Yeah, and the other really interesting thing, of course, is the whole Pirelli tyre test saga. And I'm sure you guys may have discussed it already last. Now they've actually put down the date for the hearing, the FIA tribunal on the 20th of June. And Luca Di Montezemolo of Ferrari has come out in the press and really said that he hopes the FIA punishes Mercedes. He's very outspoken. He's sort of out of the Bernie Ecclestone mold as well. They also really don't care what they say. So he's been very outspoken. I would be surprised if there was no sanction applied, because it does seem like a clear breach of the rules. But there's a rumor going around that Charlie Whiting, the FIA race director, or that an email from Charlie Whiting is part of the evidence that Mercedes and Pirelli are going to produce at this hearing, because he apparently gave them permission to do the test.
Very,
Oh, wow.
very
There
interesting.
there's a few things coming out of the closet now. I don't know if that's a fact. As I say, that is a rumor doing the rounds at the moment.
Okay.
And look, you can be sure that Ross Brawn is no monkey. And he said openly now that it was his decision to do the test. So I would be very surprised if he made such a big blunder without having a rabbit to pull out of the hat there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be very, very interesting. June the 20th will be a big day. But it's also... Sorry, Mark?
Sorry, if they found guilty, for instance, how would they penalise Mercedes? Or like, would they?
Well, they can do a couple of things. I mean, they can be really extreme if they want to and exclude them from the championship. They can give them a huge fine.
Wow.
I would probably see a big fine as what would happen.
Okay.
Definitely, you mentioned earlier about the Mercedes tire usage and that, and I mean, all of a sudden, they seem to be a huge chunk better in managing their tires than they have been up to now. And
You're
it just
100%
happens to be
correct.
straight after the 3-day test
Yeah.
that they've just done with the tires. Now they, in theory, they said they only tested next year's tires, but it's a 3-day long test. It's not beyond the realms of reality that they slapped on a few current year's tires to improve their performance. There definitely was some skullduggery going on, because it's now also commonly accepted that the drivers drove in plain coloured helmets, which is very unusual for them. And Rosberg was asked directly about this in a press conference, and he didn't want to lie, but he said so. He was forced to answer no comment. So
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
there's all these things that are going to come out of the woodwork. So it should be very interesting on June 20.
Fantastic.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. When Sasha's away, you're my F1 guru. You're just going to get regular little messages. Hi, Shawnee, can I please call you tomorrow?
No problem. I'm a keen fan, and I watch the news every day. So I'm not Sasha. I mean, he's a rabid fan. But, I'm certainly able to assist if you need.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much, Shaun.
Thanks
Have
for
a
chatting,
great
Shaun.
day.
Okay, nice to chat to you guys.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
I must say, he is very, very knowledgeable. He
Very
does follow the
knowledgeable.
sport, I
Well,
think,
10
just as
time-
much as Sasha.
10-time South African, I think it's saloon car champion. So
Yeah.
he knows his stuff. So yeah, very.
At the next intersection, turn on
Gears with Sasha Martinengo.
weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.